Good afternoon, everyone. Just a quick show of hands in the back. Can you guys hear me okay? Cool. So in this theater session, we're going to cover joining devices to Azure AD if you're in this hybrid environment. The key takeaways I want us to walk out of this session is understanding the value of bringing devices to Azure AD, understanding the concepts, the different states we have for devices, and lastly, understanding your options depending on the environment you're in. So before I get into the value, I want to show you a quick growth that we have had over the last year. We have seen tremendous growth in terms of devices being registered in Azure AD. A lot of our customers are finding the value. As you can see, we are already at about 107 million devices that have been registered in Azure AD. We have over 40 million monthly active devices, so that's a good attach rate, if you will. And then devices with CA, so this is conditional access. A lot of our customers are leveraging conditional access as part of their zero trust networking strategy. So we are seeing, again, a good adoption, almost 500% growth from last year. We are at 6 million plus devices that are leveraging conditional access today. Getting to the value, right? Why do we tell our customers to bring their devices to Azure AD? So similar to user identities, devices and identity is becoming increasingly important. A lot of the users are accessing resources from remote locations, from different devices. So it's very important for you as an organization to protect your resources against those devices that are accessing those resources, right? So we'll look at the value in terms of these three pillars. First being access control and identity protection. This is where things like enabling conditional access, using the power of our machine learning through the Azure Identity Protection, where we are actually calculating risk signals for users, for devices, based on all the authentication requests we are getting on a daily basis. And we, if I'm not mistaken, we get around like 3 terabyte or 3 billion or trillion, I need to go back and check, but we get huge amount of authentication requests in Azure AD that are used in our machine learning algorithm. The second pillar is around ease of deployment and use and management. This is where if you're using Windows 10, we recommend you to use some of the modern ways of managing and deployment. This is where things like autopilot, bulk provisioning, managing devices using unified endpoint management such as Intune, that comes in very handy. We also have a Azure AD portal where you can manage your device identities, the device lifecycle and things like that. And lastly, which is the core of our value prop, is around seamlessness, security, as well as maximizing end user productivity. This is where experiences like single sign-on, giving you the options to do passwordless sign-ins by using Windows Hello or Microsoft Authenticator or FIDO2. Those are the scenarios that that you get as soon as you bring your devices into Azure AD. And lastly, setting, roaming across devices, right? As you move from one device to the other, your settings also roam with devices. Again, this is not an exhaustive set, but this gives you an idea of the value you get once you start bringing your devices to Azure AD. It's important to also understand the different concepts we have when we talk about these devices as they get registered in Azure AD. The first one here, the picture that we show is about Azure AD join. This is a very simple setup where the device has a sole trust with Azure AD. It is not joined to its on-premises Active Directory domain, but is solely connected to its tenant in Azure AD. Then the next one we call, which is hybrid Azure AD join. This is a setup where a device is already domain joined, so it has established a soul of trust with its on-premises Active Directory. But in this model, it is also building a trust with Azure AD. So this is the model where we have hybrid Azure AD as the state for these devices. Both of these states apply to Windows devices. So when we talk about Azure AD join, it applies to Windows 10. And when we talk about hybrid Azure AD join, it applies to both Windows current devices, which is Windows 10, as well as Windows down-level devices, which is Windows 7, Windows 8.1, your servers like 2012 R2, 2012, 2008 R2, and so forth. And then lastly, we have a state which is for sort of the bring your own devices, your personal devices, or your non-Windows devices like iOS and Android and Mac, where you want to have these devices be still registered with Azure AD to benefit from all the value that we called out earlier. This is a state where the device is just registering with Azure AD using AdWork account, or if you're using iOS and Android, you can use the Microsoft Authenticator or the Intune company portal app to do the registration. In terms of establishing device trust with Azure AD, we look at from two perspectives. One is for work-owned devices, like your corporate-owned devices, where you either have a hybrid Azure AD join, or in some cases you also have Azure AD registered for even your personal devices, where you might be enforcing your users to do MDM enrollment before they can access corporate resources like your email. And then for personal devices, you have the option to also do registration with MDM, or you can skip MDM enrollment but have the option to do MAM, which is Mobile Application Management, where you can protect certain applications as long as they meet certain policies. And the way we establish trust for each of these categories is, it's simple. With hybrid Azure AD join, it's pretty straightforward. The fact that the device is joined to the Active Directory domain, you are the one that's managing the device, controlling the device, and that is how we establish the trust for those devices. In terms of Azure AD join and Azure AD registered for work-owned devices, we rely on Intune device compliance policies to indicate whether the device is compliant or the device has fallen out of compliance. That's how we basically establish trust for a device. And similarly for your personal devices, we rely again on Intune to sort of provide us with that sort of trust factor. Now let's talk about the options, which was a third takeaway. I wanted to have us walk out from this session. When we talk about which path you should take from the different states that I mentioned earlier, let's take an example. If you're a customer who has AD, right? But let's say if you have a device that hasn't been joined to your Active Directory domain, we highly recommend you to go with the Azure AD join option, in which case, you would start with getting your device on Windows 10, because again, as I mentioned, Azure AD join is a Windows 10 only deployment model. You need to enable Azure Active Directory Connect, which is the one which allows you to sync your on-premises user identities and device identities to the cloud. But in this case, you would be only syncing user identities. Then you would basically use join device. There are various mechanisms in which how you can join a device to Azure AD. You could do it out of the box experience. You could do it once you have logged in maybe as a local admin on the machine. You can go into settings and do add work school account and select the join device to Azure AD. Or you can use things like Autopilot, or you can even use a provisioning package to do Azure AD join. Then the fourth step, we call it optional, but we also recommend you is because you're trying to connect these devices directly to Azure AD, the management option for these devices is going to be most likely your MDM provider like Intune or AirWatch or MobileIron and so forth. We recommend you to run the MMAT tool, which is the MDM migration analysis tool that lets you sort of do a comparison of which of your group policy objects are also available as MDM CSPs, configuration service providers. So using that tool, you'll be at least certain that your policies that you are setting today in your AD will continue to work in the new MDM world. And one key thing, there's always, every time I talk to customers, I hear a myth that as soon as I get my devices to join to Azure AD, I'm going to lose access to my on-premises resources, and that's not true. We have done work where once you basically connect and join your devices to Azure AD, we will make sure that the device is also getting both the PRT, which is the token to be able to access the cloud resources, but also the curb TGT in order for you to access the on-premises resources. In this case, like if you have LOB applications or if you have file shares or printers that you want to be able to access, you should be able to access using that token. So again, doing AAD join doesn't preclude you or doesn't limit you from accessing on-premises resources. Very key point in making that decision. So that's one option. Although I also want to make sure we call out some of the caveats, and these are some of the gaps, if you will, that we're constantly working on to improve and address. But I want to make sure we are all aware that once you make the decision to move to Azure AD join, you need to be also aware of some of these caveats. And I'll go into some of the details for each one of those. So the first one is around user profile migration, right? When we do a Azure AD join, it creates a new profile. So if you have an existing profile for your devices due to either a workplace, like a local work group or a domain join device, you'll need to take care of the migration. So that is a little bit of a pain point. But if it's a new device, hey, you don't need to worry about migration because there's no user profile for that device. So profile like examples, favorites and browser settings and, all of your third-party apps, start menu and things like that. But again, the guidance is, there is a tool, if I'm not mistaken, LapLink or something that allows you to do some migration. I think it's available only till November. But otherwise, you need to really take care of the migration by doing, things like manual copy-paste or finding some tool that helps you migrate your profiles. The second one I already covered, which is, hey, make sure you do this analysis of GPO to MDM CSP compatibility, right? And do that using MMAT, which will help you get to know what are the gaps. And if you do find those, please let us know, because again, that is another initiative we have to ensure we close the gaps between group policy objects that you need to make them available in our sort of MDM platform. The other one to call out is around legacy Win32 apps. Again, we don't expect this to be a common scenario, but I wanted to call this out. If you're if your app requires machine authentication, then that's not going to work with Azure AD join, right? But if you have app that support NTLM, it supports modern auth, if it's using curb TGT, that will all continue to work even if your device is Azure AD join. So that's a very important point there. Again, guidance is please evaluate which apps really require them, and if they don't, have a strategy to migrate them towards using some of the other authentication models. In terms of printing, some printer scenarios again are not supported, so direct discovery of a printer that's joined to your Active Directory domain is not currently supported for a Azure AD join device. However, you can provide a direct printer path. You can basically use a PowerShell script within Intune to actually set the path of a printer for the devices that are Azure AD join. Or you can also utilize what we call as our cloud hybrid, hybrid cloud printing, which requires some setup on your end to be able to then discover them as part of the AAD join device. But again, this is one area that we're also working to address and close the gap on. So hopefully next year we'll have a solution where the discovery will also continue to work with Azure AD join devices. Now, you may ask, all of these caveats that you listed are something that matter to me the most, and I cannot move my devices to Azure AD join because of some of these. And if that's the case, we recommend you to go with option 2, which is a hybrid Azure AD join, in which case, it's pretty straightforward. We've done work to help you automatically configure, basically configure hybrid Azure AD join through Azure AD Connect. So if you're using a latest version of Azure AD Connect, I think starting May, which was 5.9 or 819.0 and above, you should be able to use the options to configure hybrid Azure AD join. What it does basically is it sets up the service connection point, which is required for the tenant ID and the tenant name discovery, and that's all. Once you have done that, the AAD Connect will also sync your on-premises computer objects as device objects in the cloud. And once that's done, as part of the user sign-in or the device restart, the device will automatically hybrid Azure AD join to your tenant. So this is a very, very important thing to note of using Azure AD Connect. please get the latest version and configure hybrid Azure AD join as part of that experience. If you're using ADFS, it will also help you set up the necessary claims that are required for hybrid Azure AD join. But even if you don't set up those claims, you may not get an instant hybrid Azure AD join, but the join will happen once the computer objects sync to the cloud with Azure AD Connect, which I believe the default cycle is every 30 minutes. So you should have the device show up in your tenant after a half an hour or so. Again, if you are using an outbound proxy, you need to make sure that you're allowing machine-level authentication as part of your outbound proxy, because the Windows 10 hybrid Azure AD join process works as part of the device context. Very, very important thing to know. So please take care of that. We do have great documentation on hybrid Azure AD join that we just revamped lately that walks you through all the scenarios you need to be take in mind, and then lets you do the configuration seamlessly. I think the main goal was, we've had feedback in the past that the existing document we had required a lot of manual steps, and it was error prone, and customers were calling because they were failing to get their devices to hybrid Azure AD. So we've addressed a lot of that with the Azure AD Connect visit and with the documentation if you need to really fall back on that. So again, if you look at our guidance, is again, use Azure AD join when practical, right? Because that is the cloud first strategy from Microsoft. We are making a lot of investments in that space. So any new experiences, it's likely that you will start to first see on an Azure AD join device, and you want to start to benefit from all the cloud capabilities. Definitely hybrid Azure AD join is preferred if you already have existing domain join devices. We do not recommend you to unjoin those and join them to Azure AD join, because there's not an easy path to do the migration. So if you have an existing device that is domain join, all we would say is go do a hybrid Azure AD join and don't worry about doing Azure AD join for those devices. But if you're in this mode where you have a device refresh cycle coming up, where there are some devices that are domain joined, but as your new devices come into your environment, please do Azure AD join for those devices. That's the recommendation that we have. Again, we understand that there are special cases. A lot of you might be using our desktop management platform, which is the System Center Configuration Manager, also called as SCCM. If that is still a critical need in your organization, and you are basically having devices that are domain joined, we recommend you something called as co-management, which is, again, it works both ways. So you can actually take a domain joined device that is hybrid Azure AD joined and managed by your configuration manager. You can also get that device enrolled into MDM provider like Intune and start to manage some of the policies using the MDM platform. So basically that device then falls into two states. It is both AD joined as well as MDM enrolled, and can be managed both using SCCM as well as Intune, except you got to be careful about the workloads. You can't have a same workload be managed by both, because then there'll be conflicts and you'll have to deal with other sorts of issues. And you can also do the other way, where you can start to get a device Azure AD join, start to have it managed using Intune. And if you feel like there's a need for you to still manage that device using some of your SCCM policies and lifecycle, you can deploy an SCCM client on those devices using Intune and then start to manage some of that using SCCM. So we have this path both ways, where you can get co-management for both AADJ devices, or you can take a hybrid AADJ device and still manage using Intune. So that's, I think, the beauty. Again, something that if you're really can't get away from SCCM, we recommend you to go that path. Again, that was everything I had in this session. We have a session at 4 o'clock. Chapin Theater, room 320. Again, that's where we're going to go into a lot more details about how this works behind the scenes. We have some cool demos lined up. So please, if you're really interested, do show up at the 4 o'clock session at Chapin Theater. Thank you.